Chapter 12. The Lorenzo clan spent that Christmas in the hospital at Cassandra's bedside. At Dr. Tompkins' insistence, only 2 people were allowed inside at a time, so everyone took turns sitting by and speaking to her. Marco, the youngest, couldn't be allowed in, which was just as well. He didn't really understand what was going on. First went Hannah and Larry, then John and Peter, and Lucille practically needed to pull Rosie free. The girl clung to Cassandra so tight. Their dear bedbound one only managed basic signs, and a hazy look remained over her eyes, but all the company helped her stay awake. That was good. She didn't want to face the nightmares that awaited her if sleep overtook her again. In spite of everything that monster tried to reduce her to, she felt, once again, how loved she was. In the midst of Lucille and Rosie's time, a trio of hushed voices slipped in from the hallway. Lucille went quiet as she recognized her mother, father, and uncle, seemingly caught in some kind of heady discussion. Cassandra, whose hearing was the best of the 3, gave the sounds the most focus, but even she only picked up a few words. "Told you this was a terrible idea. Far too dangerous. They're taking everything. It won't happen again. It can't." Each voice came and went quickly. Hannah and John's were tinged with anger, while the priest sounded regretful. Father Ryan asked for something else of them, though Cassandra couldn't tell what. He was met with opposition initially, but after a few minutes' struggle, eventually she heard a long sigh from Hannah, followed by, "Fine. Be quick." A few moments later, though the door was open, Monsignor Ryan gave it a little knock anyway. Lucille jumped a little in her seat as she turned to him. "Oh, hey. Merry Christmas, Uncle George." "Merry Christmas, Lucille." He turned a little. "And Merry Christmas, Cassandra and Rosie." "Sounded like there was an argument out there," Lucille said. "Is everyone okay? I'm sorry we didn't make it to Mass this morning. The cathedral is closed for the moment. It's a crime scene. Again." He shook his head as he looked back and forth at Lucille and Rosie. "Girls, I'm terribly sorry, but could I get just a few minutes with Cassandra? I'll be quick. Your mother will let me have it if I'm not." Rosie frowned and looked up at Cassandra. She leaned down and kissed her little sister on the forehead, but then nodded. "It'll be okay," Lucille said. "We can trust Uncle George. He won't be long." With a tired exhale, Rosie took Lucille's proffered hand and walked out with her. With the space next to Cassandra's bed available, Father Ryan stepped forward. Despite his limited time, it took the priest a minute to gather his thoughts and speak again. "How do you feel?" Cassandra made the uneven motion of her hands that signaled, "I'll be all right." "I'm so sorry," he said. "I know you wanted to help, but I should have never accepted it." With a raised, flattened hand, Cassandra signed, "Stop," and then she motioned again, as if to emphatically point to herself. "I know you made the decision yourself, but for God's sake, it shouldn't have been put in your hands. You... Cassandra turned away from him and shook her head, as if to say he still didn't understand. Hand to his temple, Father Ryan said, "Well, it doesn't matter anymore. I've had to report the robbery to the diocesan. They'll almost certainly be reclaiming the relics that remain. We got to do good for a little while, but it looks like that's over now." With the most further she'd managed all day, Cassandra started to sign toward him again. Father Ryan looked as if he wished to respond, but the length and complexity of what she was conveying left him surprised, and the more she motioned, the more uneasy he grew. "What? No! Cassandra! No! We don't have to do this anymore! Cassandra, listen! Listen to me! I know about the talents. I know you think this is what you need to do, but you don't! You don't need to prove anything anymore." She stopped partway through her motions and locked eyes with him. "You never did. I've told you that over and over. Whatever happened before we knew you, whatever you think you need to escape, God has already forgiven you. You don't need to make yourself worthy of love. We all love you already." Silence and stillness stretched between the both of them. When Cassandra motioned again, the simple phrase threatened to bring her uncle to tears. "I know that." It hung in the air between them briefly before she continued, "But it's still what I want." A long, defeated groan rumbled out of the priest. "You need to focus on your recovery first. Whatever comes afterwards will be dealt with afterwards." After 3 months of recovery, the angel stood on the roof of St. Michael's Cathedral. Most of the winter's chill had faded away. The hustle and bustle of the city sounded from below. She didn't have a way of knowing if any of those sounds came from Batman, but she knew he would arrive shortly. She'd made a request, and had no doubt he'd received it. As Monsignor Ryan anticipated, the diocesan claimed the remaining treasures from the church's hidden chamber. The bishop did not blame him for what happened, and never even questioned if he might have had something to do with it. But he did state in no uncertain terms the relics clearly were not safe in Gotham any longer. Father Ryan accepted this with quiet resignation. However, within a week of the items being moved, when he arrived early one morning, the priest found something amiss. The sword was pulled from the hand of St. Michael the Archangel and set upon the altar. Fearful someone was making a last attempt for forgotten treasure, the Monsignor journeyed into the basement again, but found it as empty as the bishop commanded it be. Confused, as he went to return the sword, he found a rolled envelope stuffed with bills, hundreds of dollars in total, hidden in the Archangel's grip. In his initial shock, Father Ryan brought the money to the Gotham police, fearing it was stolen. After a short wait for a follow-up, he was assured the marked bills had appeared to have been pulled legitimately, and the gruff Harvey Bullock encouraged him to treat it as an anonymous donation. And, just a few weeks later, without any sign that anything else had been disturbed, another envelope took its place. He didn't know for sure, but it seemed Batman wanted to make up for the loss of the treasure. Grateful in his heart and mind, Father Ryan tried to disseminate the funds as he had before. He didn't know who that man behind the dark mask was, but it seemed he was Father Ryan's new and mysterious benefactor. The priest still struggled with his niece's request, but he determined, in some small way, it could serve as repayment for a debt. So, when his instincts told him another visit was soon at hand, he removed St. Michael's sword himself, and put a message of his own in its place. Angel heard the clang of a grappling hook, and saw the blur of darkness that told her she was no longer alone on the rooftop. "I received your message. Surprised to see you back in uniform so quickly." Batman closed the distance between them. "Your body might be well, but what about your mind?" First, Cassandra tapped her forehead. Then she raised a hand to her chin and brought it downward, signaling, "Good." Batman gave her a slow, deliberate nod. "From what I understand, the relics and valuables underneath the church are gone. You could just walk away from this life now, you know." With a shake of her head, Angel pressed a finger against the bat on her chest, then traced the shape of a cross through the middle. With a raise of her fist, she made her intentions known. "I've trained and taken in others before you," Batman said. "Your skills are more than apparent. I could help you forge them into something even greater. But by the way the Monsignor pled with you, it's clear to me that there are those who will fear for your safety. Are you comfortable with that?" Angel stepped forward, raised her closed fist, and pressed it gently against the symbol in the middle of his chest. Without the cathedral's treasures, she needed something more she could protect, something far more valuable, like the lives of Gotham's innocents. From the evil man in her distant past, she learned of her power. From the priest who took her in, she learned to believe in something greater. And from her family, she learned how to put that power and belief into practice and do good for others. She did not know how much she could still learn from this man, but she looked forward to finding out. Very well then, Cassandra. Welcome aboard. The end.